Good evening and thank you for watching the 10 o'clock news here on Q2. I'm Zoe Zandora. We start tonight with Matt Rosendale, candidate in the U.S. Senate race, who traveled to Missoula today for the opening of a new campaign office. He, along with his team, are in full swing for the November elections. On Thursday, he secured a visit from President Donald Trump. Trump will be making a stop in Great Falls next week to fuel campaign efforts on July 5th. There will be a rally at Four Seasons Arena at Montana Expo Park, and Trump will be campaigning for GOP candidates Matt Rosendale and Greg Gianforte. Rosendale said the morning after he won the primary election, he got a call from Donald Trump Jr. saying both he and his father would come to Montana in support of his campaign.
It's an honor for any state in the Union to have the President of the United States to come out and visit, and for whatever purpose. But for me as a candidate to have the President come out and select Montana as one of the places that he would like to run his campaign and to support my campaign, it's just a very humbling experience.
And today, protesters gathered in hundreds of cities across the nation denouncing President Trump's immigration policy. In Billings, about 450 people came together to rally and protest. Speakers from Bozeman, Livingston, and Lame Deer addressed the crowd. Those at the rally say the president dropped a zero-tolerance policy, but more needs to be done.
I just want to ask people to remember the values of our country. Remember that we value children. We value good parenting. This is good parenting. We value the unity of the family. I think that the administration took the right step by retracting zero-tolerance policy, but it doesn't seem to be having the effect that it was supposed to, which was to stop separating the families and then to reunify these families. So next steps would be that Congress would have to legislate.
And in that order, the president stated the only legal way to enter the country is through port of entry, and that the administration will rigorously enforce immigration laws. And also speaking at the rally in Billings today, Democrat candidate for Congress Kathleen Williams. She said she'd like to see Congress work on an immigration bill.
It's pretty simple and just requires families to be kept together. So one would think that something simple like that could garner bipartisan support. We just need to work together to protect each other, and I'm looking forward to representing all of Montana and working on these thorny issues that really need solutions rather than hyperpartisanship.
And in New York City, hundreds of more protesters gathered denouncing President Trump's immigration policy. CBS's Kenneth Craig was at the giant gathering.
Thousands of protesters poured through the streets of Manhattan in the blistering heat.
No hate, no fear, immigrants are welcome here.
Munawar Ahmed joined the crowds demonstrating against the Trump administration's immigration policies. She brought her 2 young sons with her.
I want them to know what our family stands for, what our values are.
Pediatrician Steve Auerbach is concerned about the long-term harm to children separated from their parents.
Taking children, tearing them away from their families is child abuse.
As all of these people cross the Brooklyn Bridge, off in the distance you can make out the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of American freedom, and also Ellis Island, the first stop for the millions of immigrants who built this country.
The rally here is among hundreds across the country, from Boston to Chicago to California.
I cannot imagine a child her age being separated from her mom or dad.
In Washington, thousands marched toward the Capitol. Lin-Manuel Miranda sang for the crowd.
My father wasn't around.
And singer Alicia Keys read a letter from a mother whose son was taken away.
I had spent nights without sleep, searching and searching for my son without knowing where he was, a torture day by day.
President Trump signed an order to end the practice of separating families, but about 2,000 children have yet to be reunited with their parents. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Thank you, Kenneth. And another part of the anti-immigration marches is to abolish ICE. It's a growing call from some Democrats to get rid of the agency that arrests and removes illegal immigrants in the U.S. CBS's Paula Reed has that part of the story.
No more ICE! No more ICE!
Early
Early this morning, before the demonstrations got underway, President Trump tweeted his support for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, writing, "To the great and brave men and women of ICE, do not worry or lose your spirit." He was responding to top Democrats who are calling to abolish ICE. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a 28-year-old Democrat who just ousted incumbent Congressman Joe Crowley, is among those calling for an end to the agency.
You also support defunding ICE.
Yes.
Can you explain why defund and not reform?
What we really need to do is really reassess our entire approach to immigration in the United States.
Senator Kirsten Gillibrand agrees.
Start over, reimagine it, and build something that actually works.
As did New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, who tweeted, "ICE is broken. It's divisive and should be abolished." President Trump told Fox News he wants Democrats to continue attacking ICE because he believes it will cost them at the polls. In an interview, he said, "Well, I hope they keep thinking about it because they're going to get beaten so badly." President Trump is seizing on immigration as a way to rally Republican voters ahead of those critical November midterms. Today, he tweeted that he didn't think that a Republican immigration proposal could get enough votes to pass through Congress. And he tweeted, quote, "We need more Republicans to win in November." Paula Reed, CBS News, Washington.
Thank you, Paula. And continuing statewide coverage of the protests held here, Great Falls, Bozeman, Helena, and Missoula against the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy, MTN's Donna Lakatua covered the rally today in the Garden City.
Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
In Missoula, hundreds of community members and numerous social justice organizations joined in the National Day of Protest against the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office, or ICE. Marchers began at the Bronze Fish at the Clark Fork Market and passed all downtown markets, chanting and holding signs. They urged people to join them at the courthouse, where organizations like the ACLU and the YWCA, among many others, had tables set up with information about the current administration's policy on separating the families of illegal immigrants. One vocal supporter is the Reverend John Lund, who spent several days in Portland during the 24-hour protests in front of the ICE detention facility.
I think it's so great to have Missoula come out and fill this lawn with so many people and the energy and the power. But this is going on across the whole country. We are part of a larger, it is awakening people up to say, we have to stand up and care about each other, or else we're going to be in real trouble as a whole country.
Pastor Lund and several of his colleagues participated in the demonstrations to show solidarity. Moved by the success in Portland, he spoke in front of a crowd alongside other community members to urge them to take action.
You're separating families, and when you start calling people animals, we have a long history in this country of doing that to other people. We did that to African Americans, we did that to indigenous people for many, many years, and the scars are horrible and horrendous. And many of us are descendants of immigrants who also had difficult times coming through, and it's our job to keep that American dream alive, where all people have that chance for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Reporting in Missoula, Donna Lakatua, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Donald. Now turning to weather with Brett McCrummen, giving us today's high and lows. It was looking pretty nice out there.
Yeah, it was a great day. As we go ahead and take a look at the almanac, show you where we ended up for today. We saw a daytime high at 75 degrees. Our overnight low dropped down to 51. The normal temp, we were about 8 degrees below average at 83. The overnight low 56. Record high was 102, set back in 1990, and the overnight low record was 43, set back in 1995. As far as precipitation goes, no precipitation for today, but we have 3.94 inches for the month, well above our 30-year average, and year to date 14.28 inches of precipitation so far. But we do have some precipitation in the forecast, talking about more so as we look towards Monday and Tuesday. We'll show you that with your complete forecast. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Brett. We'll check back with you in a little bit. And today in Billings, families and fishing motivate the Kiwanis Club for its annual fishing jamboree. About 40 kids came out for the 22nd Jamboree, which was rescheduled due to being overrained the other week. Several groups and businesses involved in the kids got free fishing poles and a full morning of fishing. The fish weren't biting much, but the kids still enjoyed the day at the park.
It's a family event. It's an ongoing learning process. We try to create positive memories. All the adult parents, grandparents, guardians have fond memories, and they are the one that brought their children and grandchildren here. It's enjoying God's work in the outdoors, and what a joy.
It was a really nice day to enjoy that today. And coming up tonight on the 10 o'clock news, Glacier National Park experiences growing pains after overcrowding becomes an issue. Plus, this puppy is happy to see its owners after a scary fall into 50-foot hole. And later in sports, the Scarlets and Royals renew their rivalry with State away a month away. Highlights from Deller coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker weather with Connor Pregitzer, and sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.